Welcome, sir. And we have with us Shri Rajkumar Beniwal, Indian Administrative Service Officer of the Gujarat Cadre, who is now the Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Gujarat Maritime Board, which oversees the development of ports in Gujarat. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. This is the episode in the run-up to the Global Ports and Shipping Summit that is going to be held in Mumbai on the 25th of September. This is part of the pre-event conversations that we are having with top maritime leaders in the country. As we all know, Gujarat has been at the forefront of port and maritime sector development in India. You know, more. I mean, even before the union government, put in place a lot of these things. I think Gujarat was the first to step into this arena when the economic reforms were unleashed in the late 1990s. And the results are all there to see. And it's a huge portfolio of port assets, and it is the number one maritime state in India at the moment. To talk to us about this, may I please request you to run us through what has been the performance of Gujarat ports in the past year in terms of cargo handled as well as over the past few years?
Yeah, okay. So you are right that Gujarat is leader in maritime sector. If we include Kandla port cargo, we are handling more than 40% cargo of the country. In some of the commodities, it goes beyond 80%, like LPG, LNG, etc. It's a kind of lifeline for economic activities of the country. So yes, the things started way back in 1995, and this year we have seen a tremendous growth in our cargo. We have crossed more than 500 million metric ton, and we have very ambitious plan for future also. Yeah, so we are developing a lot of projects for the upcoming demand. Our Honorable Prime Minister vision of Viksit Bharat 2047, and there are various other vision document of Government of India, Government of Gujarat, and our Gujarat Maritime Board. So we are working on that.
So what has been in terms of volumes handled? Could you tell us exactly? I mean, somebody told me that you account now for 66% of the total cargo handled at India's non-major ports, and and nearly 40% of the country's total port traffic. So what has been the volumes, actual volumes like in FY25, and also what has been the CAGR over the past few years?
So actually, I don't have ready figures, but they are available. We'll share them with you. Or maybe you might be having that. But the
Yeah.
growth is phenomenal, and it's a very healthy growth. And we have basically aligning our policies for future development of maritime sector of the country also as a whole, and specifically for Gujarat as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the reasons that put Gujarat in the Indian sports map so prominently? What has been is it because of location? Is it because of the hinterland? What would you describe Gujarat sports success?
So there are three major contributor for this success. The first one and the most important is that we opened the sector way back in 1995 for private participation, and that's why today we have some of the country's biggest ports are our Mundra port, which is GMB port operated by Adani's. Then there is Hazira port, Dahej port, and Pipavav port. All these are Gujarat Maritime Board assets operated by different operators. And these ports basically, they took a time period of around 15, 20, 30 years to reach this level. So now if I talk about Mundra port, it handled around 200 million metric ton of cargo at one location, which is tremendous. So it happened, it doesn't happen in a day or two. It took its own time. It has its own growth story. So first one was opening up this sector for private participation. Second important factor was the policies that actually were so convenient for private players to invest in this sector. This is a very capital intensive sector, as well as the returns and gestation period is quite long. So it takes, if you invest today, your returns will come maybe 10, 15 years later, or maybe 20 years later. So our policies should be such that private players can come to this sector. So we have a different kind of policies for different kind of product makes. For example, private ports were there, then there were captive jetties for captive operations, or maybe for export import of, for example, Reliance Jamnagar plant, crude oil, which is one of the biggest exporter and importer of crude oil and refined there's a finished product. So we provided them a policy framework in which they could build their own jetty, that is captive jetty, and use it for their own captive purpose. So there are so many captive jetties. Then there are private jetties for small players which want to have a small jetty and start their work. And finally, there were GMB jetties which were for MSMEs and small players which they cannot build their own jetties. So we were operating them for small players. So it was a mix of a very good policy mix for this development. And third, in the last and most important factor is that the location in terms of see the seaside and the land side. Seaside, we have two very important Gulf of Kutch and Gulf of Khambat. Now these Gulf provide a very good suitable location for port development, because that area is not directly exposed to the sea, high sea, but there are channels through which we can develop those locations very well for port activities. And second is in terms of land side, like it's a kind of Gujarat is located in the middle of, say, North and Central India. South India, of course, there are other ports, but at least for the cargo which is coming from North India and Central India, this is the most suitable location for any kind of export or import of the commodity. Another, it is very near to the countries like Saudi Arabia and Dubai and all those areas in the African countries, and up to Europe and other areas. So this is again, the location played a very important role. So these are some of the important factors which actually help us.
Okay. Now, having achieved a great degree of success in port development, now Indian government is looking at, promoting the shipbuilding industry. Now the focus is on that. Now, all the maritime states, I believe, are coming out with their own policies. Center is also now framing a policy on shipbuilding and all that. I believe you have recently introduced, a policy, a dry dock policy, for shipbuilding, ship repair, and recycling. Could you please tell us a little more about, what this policy is about?
Yeah, so shipbuilding, ship repair, and ship recycling. These three activities are important for this sector. Till now, these activities were allowed in isolation, basically. So at one location, building was taking place. In some location, there was repair activities. Another location, recycling was only at the Alang, at one place. So recycling cannot be allowed at any location because of its nature, and because there are certain polluting element which need to be treated, and we need to have those facilities. At Alang, we have those facilities. So, there were many requests and there were many studies which suggested that for a successful, financial viability of a big project of shipbuilding, because it requires a lot of initial capital investment. So, if all these three activities are combined together, it will give a better IRR for any project. Because there are certain seasons when the shipbuilding is sluggish, then in that case, recycling may pick up. When the repair is required, then building is not there. So it's a combined three activities, and they can be done at one kind of facility. So we came up this facility, dry dock facility, in which we allowed all these three activity at one location, and we have restricted this facility to be within 40 kilometer of our Alang shipyard recycling yards. So within 40, because 40 kilometer, they can send the polluting components generated during ship recycling to our TSDF facility, which is available at Alang. So within 40 kilometer, now it is allowed. People can come and build the facility where they can do ship building also, they can do ship repair also, and they can do ship recycling also. So all three activities. So the project will be more financially viable, and we are getting very good response from the developers, and there are huge demand for this kind of facility.
So this is going to be greenfield facilities, is it? Or is it existing facilities?
No, it's going to be a greenfield facility.
How many of them are you planning in the state? How many such?
So basically, it is open to anyone. Anyone can come. It's a basically PPP mode projects. So private players can come and develop these facilities. We will give permissions and we will have agreements with them. So we are getting good response. Many developers have already in contact with us. They want to develop these facilities at these locations.
Which are these locations? Have you identified these locations?
Basically from Goga, approximately from Goga to Alang. So it's a 40-kilometer patch
Okay.
in Bhavnagar where this facility can be developed, and the condition, the sea condition, and the other location suitability is there for these kind
Yes.
of activities.
Uh, because Gujarat already has a shipbuilding facility at Pipavav. I mean, we all know about that, which is currently run by Swan. So, you are building up because, India wants to catch up with the shipbuilding, global shipbuilding industry, improve its market share. And, there's a lot of interest being generated. In terms of incentives, what are you giving? What is the state government offering to shipbuilders?
So, for shipbuilding, we are coming up with a shipbuilding policy, which is under consideration of the government for approval. So, we have planned many incentive, capital subsidy, and there are other kind of incentives and dredging subsidies, and capacity building institute. Grants will be given. So it's a complete package of things, because shipbuilding industry initially require a lot of support from the government. Otherwise, it is very difficult to sustain that kind of capital investment, and where the returns are long term, and initially there are high fluctuation in demand for shipbuilding. So government support is very much necessary. All other states are also working on those lines, but we have already prepared our policy, and it is under submission. Shortly it will come up, and we will be giving a good package for shipbuilders. Secondly, we are developing clusters basically. So we are
Correct.
feasibility studies going on, in which we are developing 5 clusters. So we are identifying the location, its feasibility, its other suitability, etc. And shortly we'll come up with these 5 locations for PPP participation in this area.
So this requires land, waterfront as well as land. So what you will acquire land and give it to the developer, or what is it like?
So in some cases, land is already available
Okay.
with EMP, and in
Okay.
some cases, we will acquire it. Whenever the private player will come, it is selected, then we will acquire land for that.
Uh, and so when you say this PPP, it will be what, 30 years or 50 years? Because shipbuilding, as we all know, it's a long, long gestation, even longer than ports because of the cyclical nature of the industry. So the returns will take a long time. So what I mean, are you looking at a longer concession period than the port sector, let's say 50 years concession or something like that?
No, not more than port sector, but these certainly be longer period concessions, and which will be renewable. It can be renewed actually for further period if but the performance is satisfactory, then it can be renewed, kind of thing.
So what will be the revenue sharing format or something like that? It will be like the port sector, or what will be the basis of awarding the PPP?
So basically, this is under consideration. It's a policy matter. So once the policy is out, then we can be able to give you further information on that.
Okay, okay. So, sir, moving on to the green. I mean, green is another aspect that is now, roiling the entire maritime sector as well as many other sectors. What are you doing to ensure that, the carbon footprint is less in the maritime sector?
So first thing is that we are our policy is under preparation for green ports and green shipping. So in this world over, the new technologies, new innovative methods which are being used in terms of greening of the port operations, greening of the, like, providing power to ship from the shore facility. That power can be renewable power or a green power, and there are various new initiative in which the vehicles or the equipment which are being used in port operations like tugs, trucks, etc., which will use green hydrogen or maybe green fuel. So these are, 3, 4 important areas in which we are working in our policy to incentivize that the port should, switch over to these kind of things in coming time. This thing is not going to happen in a day that tomorrow suddenly every port will just switch over to, but it will, once we start incentivizing and bringing them on board for switching over to green equipment, vessels, etc., and facilities, then in coming time certainly we will switch over to green shipping and green port operations.
It will be a gradual process. It is not going to happen overnight. Yeah. So, are you looking at setting up more ports in Gujarat?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Okay. How many and what are the plans there?
Let me give you a perspective. See, the way in which our economy is growing. See, so we need a port capacity. Okay, so if today we are handling 40% cargo of the country, say, and if we have to retain this position, then by 2047 we should have a port capacity of more than 2,000 million metric ton. That will be the kind of requirement for us. So of course we have to build lot of ports, new ports, green ports, because if we start today, then only we will be able to complete such kind of create such kind of capacity by 2047 and complete the vision of Honorable Prime Minister of Viksit Bharat. So we are planning for more than 2,000 million metric ton of port capacity.
So you were talking about a global scale port city. What is it? What and where it is going to be?
So this is a new concept, basically. Not new concept, but it's been developed. These kind of cities been developed in various countries. For example, Singapore, or maybe like Dubai. Initially, the entire city was dependent on port activities, and later on, then it shifted over to other activities. But today, even today, like Singapore, Dubai, then Port of Rotterdam, etc. These are the Hong Kong. These are the cities which have grown basically based on the port activities. So the concept of port city is that the port will be there, a large port will be there, and whatever industrial or the logistics hubs, or maybe the connectivity, everything will be at one place. So for example, you have to import raw material and you have to export finished product. So you develop your facility near port only. So you import, you process it, value add it, and then you export from there itself. So your entire cost of transportation from port to your facility location is reduced, and it will save a lot of things. For example, today, if a Maruti car is being manufactured in say Haryana, and it is exported from Mundra port, now you see all the way from Haryana, all the trucks are bringing these cars to Mundra port, and these trucks are going back. So much of stress on our infrastructure. For example, on roads, on toll gates, and so many accidents. So we reduce drastically lot of carbon footprint is reduced. So the idea is, why can't we develop these factories near the port where they import and export? They need not to go all the way to Haryana or Gurgaon or some other place. So that is the concept, and the city will be like more than 250 square kilometer area. The city will be developed, and more than 500 million metric ton kind of capacity of port will be there. So it's a ecosystem that will be that is being developed.
Which location is this going to be?
Location is almost final, but see, our study is going on. We have analyzed the entire Gujarat coast on 150 parameters. Based on that, we are coming finally to some locations. We have identified three, 4 important locations, and one of them will be finalized shortly. It is in the process actually.
Okay, and this will be on PPP, or will it have a government element in it? It will be on PPP.
So it has to be both basically. So the basic trunk infrastructure will be developed by government, and the port and operations, etc., will be by PPP.
Okay. So what is the timeline for that? Any idea? 10 years down the line, or maybe it will be up and running?
So basically, the work we are planning to start the work next year for the basic infrastructure. But the overall the full-fledged city will take at least 15 to 20 years timeline because it's a big project, very big project. More than 1.5 lakh crore of kind of investment from both government as well as private sectors. And but initially we'll start with the trunk infra.
So from an investor's point of view, from a larger picture point of view, what is the kind of investment that Gujarat is looking at through private sector for all these activities that you have just told me? Let's say, I mean, what is the kind of investment required?
So, see, Gujarat provides opportunities for any kind of investment as far as maritime sector is concerned. If somebody wants to come in a greenfield port, we have the availability. Somebody wants to go for brownfield, even brownfield ports, we have brownfield ports in which anybody can invest. Somebody want to invest in ship building activity, we are planning for that. Somebody wants to invest in ship recycling, we have planning for that. Let me tell you, we are doubling the capacity at Alang. Alang is world's biggest ship recycling yard, but now we are doubling it, so it will be another egg, like based on future requirements. So somebody wants to invest in ship recycling, we have the availability for that. If somebody wants to invest in even in tourism sector, we are developing cruise terminals and cruise tourism locations. We have beautiful locations like Gir Forest, Somnath, Porbandar, Dwarka, as well as in the up to Padala Island and Lakhpat, Koteshwar. That side also we are developing terminals for cruise operations. So somebody wants to come in this sector, they can also come. Somebody wants to come in the financing sector in maritime or maybe like ship financing, ship leasing, etc. They can come to Gift City. Operations have already started. Somebody wants to invest in capacity building, we are happy to invite them. We are happy to host them for developing universities or maybe other things in our collaboration with us or otherwise also, so they can come in that area. So you see, somebody wants to come into say warehousing and logistics near our ports, we provide opportunities for that. So we provide opportunity for the spectrum of activities in maritime sector.
So that's why I'm asking you. I mean, to give a signal to the investors in terms of the investment size required. Let's say, how much will it be for all these activities?
So let me tell you, see these because all these projects are capital intensive.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can right now we have the capacity to have the investment of the of any size basically. There's no, as of now there's no limit. Anybody is welcome because we have created the basic framework for investment. We have created all these areas in which anybody can come and invest. Somebody wants to build a big port like Mundra port, he's welcome and he can start his work. Not a problem. It will take its own time and they cannot build in a day. They will start and then slowly it will grow. But we have a ecosystem in which they can come and they can build their port.
Correct. One final question before we wrap up is that, you started off about 30 years ago. Some of these ports are now coming up for renewal in terms of concession. What is the status of that, sir?
So basically, that is under consideration of the government, but very positive view will be taken for that. There's no issue and we are expecting a huge investment in the existing ports also because they have the capacity for expanding actually. So we are kind of expecting another more than 1 lakh crore of kind of investment, including the ancillary units in these ports basically. So they will be another. They are also part of our 2,000 million metric ton vision plan for 2047 for Viksit Bharat.
Yeah. No, as you rightly said, no, some of these ports, ports take a long time to settle, mature, start handling the cargo. And plus, if their master plan can have more expansion, then why not? So within the first 30 years, they may not be able to do it. So they needed more time to fully expand that. I agree with you. But will the extension be for another 30 years?
See, right now I cannot say because this is under consideration of the government. But see, these are low-hanging fruits for us for capacity building. So we are very much aware about it, and whatever decision government takes, it will be implemented accordingly.
So how long will that take? Because some of these are coming very near. For instance, Pipavav is ending in 2027, I think, So
Yeah,
unless they
so
have that.
basically 27 or maybe said 28. I'm
Okay.
not exactly knowing the date, maybe
Mhm.
28. So yeah, well before that. Well
Yeah.
before that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sir, thank you so much for, taking time out to meet and talk to us. And it was a pleasure talking to you and understand what the state government is doing under your, stewardship and also under the, government of Gujarat. Excellent work. I think, we will talk about this at length when you come and, we have these discussions at the event. Looking
Correct.
forward to meeting you, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.